dokie. Come on. Son, I'd like you to step away from this vector and get into a different coordinate pronto.
Paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural, and this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murder scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pipe and the goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna steal your daughter at the mall. We're gonna steal your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this.
Good morning, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Hive Sci, live from the Hive, I should say. Let's start that over again. Welcome to Live from the Hive. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and so today it is May 3rd, 2025, the day before Star Wars Day, so may the 4th be with you tomorrow. And 2 days before Cinco de Mayo, which is celebrated amicably down here with Juarez and El Paso across both sides of the border. So fun stuff coming up this next few days for me here. And I don't know if I'm going to be covering much or not of those festivities, but we'll see what comes, what happens. Good morning. Let me say good morning to everybody who's popping in and saying hi. We got my Unfinished Journey and Sandy and Greg are here. PC is in the house and Aunt Jer. We got Al Trucker showing up. And who's your buddy dropping 10 Hive gift memberships? Appreciate you so much. Those gift memberships mean a lot to me. And who received those? Why, Hecklek, Cosmic Kyle, Atheist Jr., Jefferson Spatchcock, Emily Wood, Triceratops, Thalakaleon, Sela, Right-Handed Sith, and Bryce Vining. So welcome to the Hive. Please enjoy your time here. Stomp around with some Bigfoot feet and stuff, because you got them now. Who else? Anybody else show up? Yay. Bryce is here. All right. Well, today I'm wearing a super cute sundress, and I want you guys to see it. because I bought this is the first time I bought a sundress new that wasn't thrifted. So this is what it looks like. It's very cute. Hold on. Can't see how long it is. It's pretty short actually, but. And I got my windows open because the sun's shining outside, and I want it to be. I might have to change things up if it gets too annoying with having the light coming off from one side. But for right now, I'm just going to enjoy the sunshine because I can. Hello. Looks like D is here. D, I did see the little dragon that you sent me. I'm not sure about the species because I don't have a location. But it's hard to identify where that tiny dragon was from. Let that sunshine in. Yes, that's my goal. Bathe me in your sunshine. I'm trying to get some color on my pale ass. Yeah, because I joke, but about being the whitest woman in El Paso, but I really am. And yeah, you can like Aunt Jer say, you can buy me a coffee to be delivered during the stream by going to that link right there, or a bagel or anything really. There was one thing I wanted to. Speaking of, we're gonna go to my store real quick because I got new merch. Check this out. Hold on, I'm gonna show you guys. We'll do the cryptid one because it kind of matches with the merch store now. So. Baby shark why are you not on the list? You're making me sad now. No, that's gonna drop us into a tunnel of doom, isn't it? Yeah. There's you guys, though. Look, you're all on camera now. I don't know what's going on with it. It's being stupid. Give me a minute. Oh, there's the tunnel again. There we go. Jesus. I don't know what the deal was. It wouldn't show it on my. It has a drop down list, and it wasn't showing the window that I just opened on there. Anyway, check this out though. So we've sold some stuff on the from the merch store to some great people, and I got some great pictures. I'm putting together a slideshow of it for like an ad. So yeah, send me all your pictures if you order anything at all, even if it's not the Cryptic Corner t-shirts, because those are the new thing. But I also. I designed a Cryptic Corner mug that I think is super cute. If you look, it's got your Fresno Nightcrawler, your Mothman, your Dogman, got your Sasquatch and your Jersey Devil, and you got your Alien. You have the Van Meter Visitor, just some fun stuff. But check that out. And then I made these, which are cute little tank tops with this one's got Mothman on the back. Look at that. Isn't that cute? And on the front it says Cryptic Corner right across the titties. Right across the titties. But yeah, and I also wanted to introduce our new Cryptic Corner t-shirt guy. This is our Roswell alien. And where's my phone at? I hear you, I don't see you. Do I bear you into the donuts? Yes. That's our alarm to say to go into Cryptic Corner, but we can hang out for just a minute longer. Yeah, but this guy is the new guy in the Fresno crawler. While it's still up on the site and you could still order it today, I meant to take it down last night and I just fell asleep. So it will be going bye-bye, the Fresno Nightcrawler. I actually didn't get any orders for it, but it wasn't very good design. So I like this one a lot better. But we'll see. We shall see. Anyway, let's look at the polls real quick before we jump right in. All right, so these are the polls for this week for the Weird Wednesday. The options were Charming the Serpents, where we're going to talk about the art of snake charming, or the deceptive art of snake charming, because it has nothing to do with music. But, well, I digress. With the Knights of Tartaria, y'all know I'm a Tartaria fan. I like the nonsense that comes out of that corner of the internet, and they have some notions about ancient knights that had like power suits and stuff that was is pretty crazy, but we'll get into that when we watch that one. Then we had the Return to Zarahemla, which is, of course, the mighty city of the New World in Mormon mythology, and they didn't have horses in the New World, but they talked about riding steeds, so we're going to assume it's tapirs, which explains the thumbnail tapirs. But the winner this week, and the first time on the poll, which this one always does good, this topic, this is the second time we've done this, dinosaurs are fake nonsense, but they just keep hammering us with it, and we got to respond. So we'll be talking about dinosaurs are fake later in the show. But moving right into Cryptic Corner, where we're going in just a second, we had the new kid on the block was the nameless thing of Berkeley Square. What is that? Well, you have to vote for it to find out. But it did pretty good. It got 27% of the vote. Now, in the mids here are beasties. We got the Yeti, which, the Himalayan classic Bigfoot type creature. We're going to go explore. The main thing I'm looking forward on this is looking at the Himalayas on maps. Looking at sighting locations and regions on maps. I'm excited to do that with you guys, so that's what's going to happen when we vote on that one. We're going to spend a lot of time diving and digging through the maps. And then you have the Beast of Busco, which is Indiana's own giant lake monster, pond monster. It's a giant snapping turtle that lived in a big pond. They drained the pond to prove that it was real, but he was gone. Who knows what happened to the Beast of Busco? We will find out. But the winner this week was, by a large margin, by almost half the votes of the 15 votes that were on here. So it's like not that much. It's like 6 votes or something. Was Spring-Heeled Jack, the Victorian cryptid daredevil, demon vigilante, night hunter, stalker guy. Yeah, all those things. All the things. Spring-Heeled Jack won the day, and that's where we're going to be moving into with Cryptic Corner. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to do this Weird Wednesday thing, where I'm going to split it up between the two kind of concepts. But for right now, we're just going to leave it as is, because it's easier for me to deal with it and not have to think about it too much. Oh yeah, the Apostate Sisters. Shoot, I wanted to talk about that before I get started. Let me. Give me just a second here, and I will. I'm just checking the date on that. There we go. Oh, that's not it. Oops, open that whole thing up. So I put myself in a time slot. I just want to check and make sure that I know where I am. So I think it's tomorrow, isn't it? Is my time slot tomorrow? I believe I did. Anyway, I'm running over our introduction time here now. We need to get into the show. So, without further ado, I will see you guys over in Cryptic Corner. Good morning, my beauties and bees, and welcome to Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today we are going back in time, because we are exploring the folklore of Spring-Heeled Jack. Do you know who Spring-Heeled Jack is? No? Well, stick around and we're going to find out here on Cryptic Corner. All right. Thank you so much for turning in, everybody. So when it comes to cryptids and folklore, there's a lot of overlap, like a lot. And it's hard to say this is a mythological being and this is a cryptid being, or based on some kind of real events and some level of the sighting. So bear with me as a little bit of folklore seeps into tonight's episode. Now, I decided to go with this Midnight Quarter because it kind of wraps up some of the folklore stuff too. For our review, the Midnight Quarter, which is a mysterious true stories, because it's got to be true, right? Spring-Heeled Jack's got to be real. To listen to at midnight if you wish to support. Should I darken it in here for? I think I'm going to darken it in here for this. That's what we're going to do. We'll darken it for the Spring-Heeled Jack, but we'll brighten it back up when we get into the dinosaurs are fake. It's got to be dark. Is that dark enough? Are we spookified? I can turn another light off. I got a lamp on over here. Spring-Heeled Jack. I'm going to do it. I'll turn the lamp off too. Let's get spooky. Let's get spooky. All right. Here we go. Nice and dark. Dark and spooky, because we're in the Midnight Quarter now. Do you all feel Midnight Quartered and dark? We did let the sun shine through a little bit to start the show, just so you all know what you're missing. Because, darkness doesn't seem so sad if you don't know about light. I like darkness. I was actually talking to Miss Lemon about that. I was like, people are like, oh, the dark, that's what it's like without God or whatever. And it's like, as someone who suffers with migraines, the idea of sweet velvety darkness forever and ever soothing my brain sounds pretty freaking sweet. So take it for what it is. But yeah, this channel is a storytelling channel. Y'all know I like a good storyteller, but especially when they present the story as if it's real, which is what we're going to look at here. So, Spring-Heeled Jack. Let's dive right in. Y'all let me know how the audio is, if it's all out of balance or anything like that.
Beneath the heavy, suffocating fog that polluted the streets of Victorian England, a chilling entity tormented young women as they walked home. Was the devil himself stalking the streets of London? Or could the stories of a violent yet ultimately human criminal have been contorted into the makings of an urban legend? His infamy perpetuated by the macabre fascinations that had gripped popular culture in the 19th century. Whoever or whatever he was, his vicious attacks left some witnesses in fits of hysteria, and his habit of evading capture by jumping across rooftops earned him a most unnerving moniker. Tonight, we recount the legend of Spring-Heeled Jack.
See, I don't think that moniker is unnerving at all. I have to force myself to see him as a not silly character, because there's been like comic book heroes and stuff and characters that it reminds me of Leapfrog from Marvel, which was this derpy guy who dressed up like in a frog costume and had like spring boots that always seemed to get him into trouble. And he tried to help Spider-Man, but he was not good at it. And that's what I think of when I think of Spring-Heeled Jack. He's like a bit like a derp. But when you look into the story, he deserves a better name than this. The Phantom of Victoria London actually even sounds better, but... Midnight Quarter.
Thank you for joining us for another gathering of the Midnight Quarter. Our story will begin when the clock strikes midnight.
It's the clock just struck 8:56 a.m. here in Mountain Time in the U.S. But Chapter 1: The Macabre Realities of Victorian England.
In order to recognize how the story...
We gotta lay some groundwork for the environment that this legend arose in. So this is going to tell us about all the monstrosities of Victorian England.
of Spring-Heeled Jack gained such notoriety, we must first understand the environment that allowed such frightening notions to fester and spread.
Victorian
The
London.
Victorian era refers to the 63-year reign of Queen Victoria, spanning from 1837 until her death in 1901. Life in the Victorian era was, from a modern perspective, nothing short of dreadful.
This is the London Wharf. It's like written on the building. Nice. It's kind of like how in the opening credits, how they'll put like people's names and stuff on signs or whatever. I like when they do that, when they just kind of incorporate it so that it goes smoother. Love this. Love the set design here. Midnight.
The living conditions for much of the population were dire, with dark, dank and cramped homes infested with lice and vermin being the norm for many. Poor sanitation, combined with increasingly crowded dwellings, made for a breeding ground of disease, particularly in densely populated areas. It's no wonder then that the life expectancy...
This guy's throwing all kinds of shade at Victoria. This is industrialization, though, is what made... The industry... It's kind of funny, like, the whole Industrial Revolution. London is a great hotbed for that and for the innovation. So many great inventors came out of Victorian London. And, but unfortunately, a lot of our... I don't call them sweatshop designs, but the innovation of the sweatshop, like with the sewing clothes and things like that, really took off in London around this time too. So they kept the poor so they'd keep working for slave wages.
Expectancy was relatively low, and death amongst younger people was, unfortunately, far from unheard of. With this abundance of misfortune came a fascination with all things.
That's going to be skewed by the infant mortality rate, though, right? I mean, we have to allow for that because infant mortality rate is always going to drive up the death toll of younger people in less developed regions or less developed timelines or time frames when we're talking about medical care.
Grim and ghostly. After all, life and death were so closely intertwined that the topic could not be avoided. In time, however, this preoccupation with the morbid became an almost fanatical obsession. Seances were performed regularly, from private affairs conducted in the homes of grieving families to theatrical feats performed on stage to the thrilling cheers of rowdy audiences. Smaller gatherings often made attempts to contact deceased loved ones via means of automatic writing, a practice also known as psychography, in which a participant would allow their hands to be controlled by the spirits in order...
It's like the spiritualist movement in full swing, too. It was moving away from traditional religions and trying to find a scientific basis for spirituality. Really a wild time. You had the most famous thing I can think about is the Fox sisters. We got to talk about the Fox sisters at some point. Maybe I'll put the Fox sisters on the poll now that the dinosaurs are off there. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. If you want to see some coverage of the Fox sisters, put a let's see, is there a crystal ball? Can you put a crystal ball in the side chat? Yes, you can. Yeah, do a crystal ball in the side chat if you want to see Fox sisters in Weird Wednesday. Because I'm here for that. I like that bit of mythology.
To produce written communication. For the larger performances, mediums would travel from town to town, delivering larger-than-life acts of showmanship to eager crowds in venues across the country. Whilst potentially seen as unusual when viewed through the contemporary lens, much of these behaviours were simply those of people in mourning, seeking solace in the
We
midst
still
of...
do this. There's still the people that do cold readings and stuff. There's still... Okay, I've got 2 crystal balls so far. There's still people who will who do medium work, sometimes very grifty style. Good morning, Captive Desk.
grief. The same cannot be said, however, for some of the other more gruesome...
Oh, hold on here, because we just got a bazillion gift memberships from Regios. Regios, who's your buddy? You guys are the MVPs every stream. Thank you so much. This was, let's see, who received a membership? We have Stacy C. We have Jeff Graham. Sapphire Magical Wolf Paws Light. Ooh, don't scroll on me. Deep Arcs. Arctic Fox, Ryan Coltastic, Tilting Windmill, Miss Non Sequitur, My Unfinished Journey Sock, Weston Campbell, Kaz, Paul Schlachter, Scott Duke, Patty Troy, Mark Reed, Byron B. Hey, Byron. Yay. Caterpillar. I think that's it. Yeah. Yay. That was a lot of memberships. Thank you so much. Appreciate you so much. My membership expired Thursday. Thanks for the renewal. Yes. Appreciate everybody for sticking around. Is that an ember I see in the side chat? Good morning, doll.
Indulgences enjoyed by those in the 19th century. Perhaps the most awful of all being that of public surgery. Though rather contrarian, the Victorians were simultaneously intrigued by the notion of spiritualism and by the advancement of scientific discovery. Because of this, surgery was often considered a public affair, with crowds gathering to watch the surgeon at work.
This reminds me of when we talked about the Cabbage Patch Babies and incubators and stuff. That they put it on at the World Fair and stuff. It's like, yeah, there was like no regular like funding for medical research at this time. It was public funded. You know, if you were gonna do a surgery, sometimes the funding for that would come from people paying their nickel to sit up in the stands and watch the surgery.
Whether they came out of pure academic interest or simply to revel in the screams of those unlucky enough to find themselves on the surgeon's table, the attraction of bystanders to such events is even more disturbing when it is considered that during the early 1800s, the use of anesthesia was unheard of, and therefore patients were awake and very much aware during procedures. Not content
Oh my
with
gosh.
watching live
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Sapphire. More memberships. Sapphire did 5 memberships for the Hive. Thank you. We got Blaster Master 80. Why? Because Weed Bro, Apostate Sisters, Marty Camejo, and Nitty all got a membership that round. And yeah, stomp those Bigfoot feet across the screen. Let everybody know you're here. Appreciate you, Regios, Sapphire. Who's your buddy? Love. Mwah.
surgical procedures. The Victorian era also saw a rise in the popularity of unwrapping parties, wherein groups of high society revelers would gather for drinks, fine dining, and, unbelievably, to partake in the slow unwrapping of ancient Egyptian mummies. These precious remains were destroyed and discarded in obscene numbers out of pure hedonistic curiosity. Thus was
Sometimes they were eaten. Yeah, they ate mummies. Nummy, nummy, mummy. And they weren't fruity, yummy mummies like from the monster cereals either. They were just like beef jerky mummies.
the mindset of many who lived in the Victorian era. And even these few short examples set the stage for how stories such as Jack's ran amok in the imaginations of the populace.
And there's a lot of foreshadowing to Jack the Ripper here. I mean, and I'm good. I'm here for it.
One night in October of 1837, a young woman by the name of Mary Stevens was walking home alone through Clapham Common. As she passed by a dark alleyway, Mary was attacked by a stranger who began to tear at her clothing with what appeared to be claws made from sharp metal.
It was Proto Freddy. That's Proto Freddy Krueger claws right there.
The man was described as being tall, thin, and unnaturally cold, like a corpse, with a pointed chin and eyes like balls of fire. His attack was disrupted when the woman's screams alerted passers-by, and it's claimed that he escaped, remarkably, by leaping over a tall fence before disappearing into the night. The following day, a man matching this description was seen close to where the attack on Mary had occurred. He reportedly leapt out in front of a carriage.
They keep giving him devil horns and stuff. I don't think he had devil horns, or the depictions of him had devil horns at this point in time, but...
causing it to swerve and crash, resulting in severe injury to the driver. The man then escaped by leaping effortlessly over a 9-foot wall, letting out a high-pitched, maniacal laugh as he did so. This early encounter of the man, later
He's
dubbed
kind of a badass. Wait till he starts barking fire.
Spring-Heeled Jack, was one of many similar and equally disturbing tales. In February of 1838, a woman named Jane Alsop was met with a stranger after hearing a frantic rapping upon her front door. The man initially introduced himself as a policeman and claimed that he had captured Jack in a nearby lane. He demanded that Jane return with a lantern, but upon doing so, Jane realized that the stranger on her doorstep was the elusive menace himself. The man reportedly let out an awful cackle before spitting blue flames at the petrified woman.
So he spits fire. He vomits blue flame. I mean, this guy's a badass, really. He became a villain in Penny Dreadfuls. We'll get to that, but I'm surprised that nobody has made a Spring-Heeled Jack comic book, like a dark Victorian comic book. He could interact with other Victorian urban legends and stuff. It'd be fun. It'd be cool.
Alerted by the commotion, Jane's sister pulled her back inside the house. Jane later told the authorities that the man who matched the description given earlier by Mary Stevens had torn ferociously at her hair and clothing with metallic claws. A man named Thomas Milbank was later arrested on suspicion of being Jack. In the aftermath of the attack on Jane, punters at the Morgan Arms public house overheard...
Alright, before we get too far into this, let's look at this district right now. Because it is... Let's see, is this it? Yeah, Lavender Hill. So here's where the initial sightings and stuff took place. So we can drop down in here and have a look around. I'm sure it looks a lot more modern now. But it's a cute district with lots of old, and some of these buildings were probably there during this time. Looking at the age of the architecture, you can see this is very Victorian. So some of these old buildings are still around. These are Victorian buildings. Look at that. I mean, some of these are what they call greystones, which would have been built in and I think I'm right, greystones, right? In the early 20th century. But there's some old Victorian structure here too. You can tell when you see archways and stuff like that. Unless it's mimicking that type of architecture, but the further from the main drag you get, the older looking the buildings get. Look at these. Look at that. That's gorgeous. These window boxes. It's a lovely little neighborhood. Now I can see why a rooftop specter or whatever would thrive in an environment like this, because look how easy it'd be to jump from rooftop to rooftop. You wouldn't even have to jump half the time. You could just walk. These buildings, they just all connect. I mean, you might have to jump from this balcony to there, or even down to here, and then spring heel yourself up to here. But it's a lovely little neighborhood, and it's called Lavender Hill. See how easy it'd be to run across the rooftops here? I'm here for it. We need a Spring-Heeled Jack comic book that has Jack running across the rooftops of Lavender Hill. And look how compact this all is. I mean, if you could jump over a 9-foot wall, you could basically run all the way around here. You could get around this whole city without touching the pavement if you had that leaping ability. Just saying.
Milbank bragging about his supposed exploits. He was, however, acquitted at trial due to Jane's insistence that her assailant had been able to spit blue flames, an ability that Milbank, naturally, could not recreate. Not long
There are circus performers who do spit fire. Usually they use some kind of alcohol. We'll have to talk to I can't. Why am I forgetting his name? I go to his channel almost twice a week at least, and I'm just it's the marijuana. I'm so sorry. He's gonna be. I want to say Sinister Cyborg, but that's not who it is. He does a weekly show or a daily show. Anyway, it'll come back to me when I'm not trying to think of it.
The attack on Jane Alsop. Two sisters named Lucy and Margaret Scales.
Slim Cyborg, Jesus Christ. Slim, yeah. I have to talk to Slim about that, because Slim's a sword swallower, so they know all about these different circus performers. Thank you, Aunt Jer. Love you, love you. I think Mary Poppins taught us all that we can dance across the rooftops of London. That's what I'm saying. Great neighborhood. Only thing against it is all the Spring-Heeled Jacks. Yeah, but if you carry Jack spray, you'd be all right. Slim Cyborg. Yes, I love that all you guys watch Slim, because they definitely don't get enough love over there, and they do some hilarious debunking and nonsense. So, yeah.
Were walking home late one evening when they came across a strange man leaning against the wall. It was said that as they approached him, the man leapt out at Lucy, breathing.
Why you gotta keep giving him horns, though?
Blue flames into her eyes, and according to some reports, leaving her blind and seizing. Some witnesses to the attack claim to have seen Jack take a standing jump from the alleyway onto the roof of a nearby house, before quickly disappearing from sight. Margaret, however, instead remembered the man calmly walking away. Over the years, sightings of this devilish fiend continued, and the rumors
like
surrounding
calmly walking away or leaping over. I mean, there's a big difference, right? We had a fire eater at NocoCon. I had to learn about it for insurance compliance. Oh, Ember's got some insight. Hold on. Yeah, drop us what you know about it. Maybe when she said he could spit straight fire, she just meant he was really good at rapping. Yeah, Joshua, that's a brilliant take, you know. Maybe he was just roasting her so bad that it was like, damn. That explains why some people remember him leaping away and she remembers walking away. Because when you roast somebody, you walk away all cool like. But when you get roasted, you might leap away. Good observation. Yeah, Jack spray. Different kind of Jack spray there, Jefferson. I do that with my dog too. Yeah, I say parkour. Horns are sexy. I'll die on that hill. Horns are sexy. It's just until people started mimicking Spring-Heeled Jack in other parts of England, he didn't have horns. I like to picture him in a top hat kind of thing, like a Londoner Victorian top hat. But I guess the mask with the horns is cool too. It actually looks scary to me if he just looks like a regular person that could jump really high and breathe fire. Yeah, and like maybe have like retractable claws that pop out, like metal claws, like Freddy Krueger style claws that pop out Wolverine style, right? They go, like he looks like a normal dude with his face in the shadows, wearing a top hat. You know, I don't know what they call that. I call it a duster now, but one of the coats that comes down to the back of your knees. And maybe holding a cane or something, and then just spitting blue fire, like you never see his face. Yeah. Jack spray. What do I walk into? So, I will talk about Jack. I need to get like an Adam and Eve an Adam and Eve promotional like Brantley does. Horns were the fashion at the time, so no one thought to mention it. Well, feathers were popular, especially ostrich feathers. It'd be more reasonable for Jack to have like a crown of ostrich feathers than it would for him to have horns.
surrounding Jack ran wild, from claims of a monstrous figure with horns and a tail seen leaping over the heads of policemen.
Finally, we got
reports of a
horns.
strange man dancing in the moonlight across the Kensington Palace gardens. Jack's image soon became a regular depiction.
Kensington Palace Gardens. Let's look at those. Kensington Palace Gardens. How far is that from where we were just a second ago, though? Not too far. I'm going to add it to the map. We're going to add it to the favorites, because that's a Jack sighting. Ooh, that's a pretty place, too. You all want to drop down in there real quick? Let's just have a quick look at this place. Can we drop down in here? How close down in can we get? Shoot. Dancing across the rooftops. There's an embassy for Nepal right there. Let's see about what view we have from down here. Ooh, it's wide open spaces. Really is gardens. Because they don't, gardens are what, in the UK, what we call lawns, they call gardens. So like expanses of grass are gardens too, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, this doesn't seem like a good place for Spring-Heeled Jack, though. It'd be even being able to leap 19 feet, you're still going to need a few bounds to get away with, you know, guards shooting at you or whatever. But I digress. Let's continue on. We're going to do more sightings and yeah.
In media such as the Penny Dreadfuls, a popular form of cheaply manufactured serial literature that were produced and sold in the 19th century. As the name suggests, the booklets could be purchased.
See, you're talking about the Ghost of Whitechapel? That really gives Jack the Ripper vibes. You know, because Whitechapel was his stomping ground. Whitechapel really doesn't exist anymore.
Penny, and featured fictional crime, supernatural, and mystery stories published in weekly parts. Jack became a recurring character in these stories, in which he was termed.
See, I like
the
that
Terror.
vibe. That vibe right there. Nondescript man with Victorian upper crust clothing style. Nondescript face, maybe some sideburns to give him a little bit of a Mr. Hyde vibe, I guess. And just boom, he all of a sudden can jump really far and breathe fire.
Of London, which only fed into the superstition surrounding him. The story of Jack quickly gained traction, and he became somewhat of a catch-all boogeyman for all things bizarre, violent, or downright strange. He was even linked, albeit tenuously, to the Whitechapel murders. A string of...
Are you bringing physics into this, right-handed Sith? I'm just checking because cryptids, I mean, they defy physics all the time. Maybe he had booster rockets to soften his land. Like, he'd get up, do his 19 feet, and then turn on his thrusters. No, they didn't have thrusters back then. I don't know what you would use to soften your land during this time period. If they were like spring shoes. If he just had like supernatural legs, though. I like the idea that he'd be supernatural, probably. Like, the leaping stuff could be like someone doing regular parkour, which would look could look supernatural to someone who wasn't used to seeing a person move like that. Like bounding over fences and stuff. I used to do that when I was younger. I mean, believe it or not, I was a skinny lass and I was very good at climbing and jumping and hopping fences and all that kind of fun stuff. And I almost said I was very monkey-like. I was really good at climbing, though. I've always been good at climbing. Now I packed on a little bit of weight, and I don't climb quite as good as I used to. But, you know, if you can run and jump, and, even the Hulk leaves impacts on the ground. That's true. But Spider-Man doesn't.
Atrocities committed by
Spider-Man doesn't even make a sound. You gotta do that superhero landing. If you land with one hand on the ground, do the 3-point landing with your arm back, then you don't. It nullifies all physics if you do that landing.
Notorious serial killer, Jack the Ripper. The name was first used in letters sent by the killer himself.
There we go.
Or
Joshua Dave
by somebody
Joshua called it. Yes, they do think that maybe he was named. He think that whoever was sending those letters to the press was emulating Spring Hill Jack. Let's go back and hear that again, though. All right.
Jack the Ripper. The name was first used in letters sent by the killer himself, or at least by somebody pretending to be him. In September of 1888, the Central News Agency of London received the first, now infamous, Dear Boss letter, in which the author mocked the efforts being made to detain him and bragged of the bloodshed by his hand. Signed, "Good luck, yours truly, Jack the Ripper." This correspondence gave the still unidentified brute a name which, as some believe, could have been inspired by the roof-hopping, flame-breathing trickster himself. This was an arguably deliberate continuation and escalation of the lore surrounding Spring-Heeled Jack, one that was readily welcomed by a populace well primed to buy into such an association.
Yep, there it is. The precursor to Spring-Heeled Jack. That's actually very similar to the Zodiac Killer. It is. Who is Homelander? Oh, The Boys. The Boys is a great series. You should watch it if you haven't watched it. It's both a satire on the superhero genre, namely the Justice League or the Avengers, and it is also a satire on the MAGA movement in the U.S. And Homelander is their what they call an XP, which is the off-brand version of Superman, and he is like a cross between Superman and Dear Leader. So yeah, it's a good show. I like Invincible better as far as the satire of superhero goes, but Invincible's animated, so a lot of people aren't into that. But it doesn't. The thing I like about Invincible is it's more escapism, whereas the world there is very much different than ours. But it's like living in a fantasy world, but whereas The Boys is more like just our world. If all of a sudden, or if during World War II, they had discovered how to make super soldiers, and there's a lot of satire of evangelicism and the right wing push towards fascism. So it's a good show. Watch it.
Not one to be tethered by geography, Spring-Heeled Jack was also linked to a phenomenon since referred to as the Devil's Footprints of Devon. On the morning of February the 9th, 1855, residents in the south of Devon awoke after a night of heavy snowfall to find an unusual and unnerving...
Who's familiar with the Devon Footprints? Invincible is by Robert Kirkland, who wrote The Walking Dead. It's so good. Yes, I love Invincible. Adam Eve is my favorite character on there. I wish I had her powers. But yeah, I do like Invincible too. And the Viltrumites in general are a satire of the Kryptonians. But who's familiar with this? Yeah, so this is like allegedly went for miles, leaving a single file cloven footprint across the landscape.
Sight. A trail of cloven hoof-like footprints could be seen in the snow, and intriguingly, the maker of these footprints had been seemingly unobstructed as they walked. The single-file prints, which travelled an estimated distance of between 60 and 160 kilometres, had traversed walls, rivers and fields, with footprints even being found on rooftops and across gardens enclosed by tall walls.
I mean, this could have been left by an unladen swallow, though. Just putting it out there.
Whilst Jack's name has been loosely associated with this bizarre incident, it remains unsolved to this day. Interestingly, this was not
Jack doesn't seem like he'd leave single file footprints, though.
the first time Jack was associated with events taking place in Devon. In 1847, Captain Finch of Tynemouth was charged with 2 separate attacks on women, during which he wore a mask with horns in an apparent attempt to frame Jack for his crimes. The more traditional sightings of Jack were also not confined to the capital, and in 1888 he seemingly headed to the northwest of England, where he is said to have been spotted on the roof of St. Francis Xavier's Church in Everton, Liverpool. Witnesses described seeing a man bounding across the roof and scaling the steeple.
So, like, these people just like never seen parkour before. They're like, whoa, it's the Spring-Heeled Jack guy. I don't know.
Before disappearing over a row of houses. Those sightings dwindled significantly after this. He has been spotted even as recently as the 21st century.
Ooh.
On the
Modern
night of
Spring-Heeled
Valentine's Day
Jack.
2012, a man named Scott Martin was travelling home with his family. The group had taken a taxi from Stoneleigh, Warwickshire, back to Banstead, Surrey, and were making their way along the Ewell bypass when they spotted a man acting strangely by the side of the road. Suddenly, the man who they
Could have been an African swallow, and that would explain why they're curved, because they could have been made by coconuts.
described as being a dark figure with no discernible features darted across the dual carriageway before disappearing over a 15-foot tall roadside bank in a matter of seconds.
I like how you put the little laugh in there whenever you talk about him leaping. 'Cause I like to think about him laughing every time he jumps. That'd be fun.
The legend of Jack has bewitched the imaginations of many over the decades. The notion of a devilish creature stalking the streets.
I love that my whole audience got this, got the Unladen swallow joke. I love you guys.
Is certainly an evocative image. However, the theories surrounding his identity are varied and potentially much more grounded in reality. One of the more popular theories is that the actions of Spring-Heeled Jack were nothing more than the follies of a nobleman by the name of Henry Delapour Beresford. Beresford was the third Marquess of Waterford and had
The third Marquess of Waterford. What a title. Everybody had freaking fancy titles back then. I want to be the 18th Duchess of African Swallow. Did I say too much?
reputation for being eccentric and often reckless and destructive. In fact, Beresford is even touted as a conceivable inspiration for the phrase "paint the town red" due to one particularly riotous incident. In the early morning hours of April the 6th...
I saw From Hell. I love Ian Holmes's portrayal of the professor in that. Oh my gosh, when he does the autopsy, he sells that scene so well. Ian Holmes is a great actor.
1837, Beresford, along with his fox hunting party, arrived at the toll gate of Melton Mowbray, a small town in the Melton district of Leicestershire. Unfortunately for the tollgate operator, the men, exceedingly rowdy after a day of drinking and gambling.
These are the guys that Clockwork Orange was based on, too. I don't know if you know that or not, but I don't think he mentions that. But this was this event was part of the inspiration for Clockwork Orange. These assholes.
Spotted ladders, tools, and buckets of red paint that had been left behind by workmen repairing damage to the gatehouse. The group, sensing an opportunity to misbehave, proceeded to douse the toll booth and its operator with red paint before heading into town, where they, quite literally, painted the town red. Walls, windows, and even the sign of the White Swan pub were painted, and intervening officers were assaulted by the raucous gang, who continued their rampage by smashing windows, trampling gardens, and generally enjoying their spree of drunken debauchery. It was antics such as these, alongside his penchant
They must have hit the milk bar before this.
for boisterous pranks that often veered into cruel territory, that earned Beresford the nickname of the Mad Marquis, and many at the time believed that he, along with his aristocratic companions, could have been behind the phenomenon that was Jack.
A Clockwork Orange is absolutely disturbing. You do need to prepare your brain a little bit to it. I think when I watched it, I was actually too young to watch it, and I was like 14 or so. It really does give you. It gives you. The essay scene is absolutely horrific.
It has been speculated that Beresford used his money and connections to procure a one-of-a-kind contraption that, upon being fastened to his shoes, would give him
That's another
his
great actor. Everybody named Ian is a great actor. Ian McKellen, Ian Holmes. Yeah, it's just... Ruin Singing in the Rain for you. Yeah, I could see that.
spring-healed abilities. He is also rumoured to have learned fire-breathing techniques, which only furthered the seemingly supernatural qualities of the trickster. Whilst a strong contender for the identity of Jack, and certainly a possible originator of the facade, sightings of Jack continued long after Beresford's death in 1859. Therefore, he cannot be accredited with the entirety of the incidents attributed to the Terror of London.
What I hate about A Clockwork Orange is by the time that he revisits the guy whose wife he assaulted, it's got you in this state where you're like empathizing with him, and it makes me feel disgusting and gross. Like I can't deal with feeling empathy for that. Like, oh my gosh, he's gonna find out this is the guy who did the thing, and oh my gosh, and I don't want my brain to do that. What a movie.
Rumours at the time also spread of a society of upper-class individuals who, bored and with the means to do as they pleased, assumed the ensemble as a collective intent on causing havoc amongst the lower classes.
A secret society of people doing Spring-Heeled Jack is kind of cool too, though. I'm on board with that.
The more sinister versions of this narrative even include a bet, wherein the member responsible for the highest number of deaths would secure a large sum of money. So, was Jack a man, a beast, or the devil himself? Was he a guise worn by many, a twisted order of high society tricksters set out to terrorize the public, or simply a fictional figurehead adopted by a series of common pranksters?
I mean,
could Jack truly have been...
I do like the idea of a secret society. Another secret society that I should cover, maybe add to the list, is the leopard men of West Africa. That is a wild ride. I learned about that secret society in Colton. They were a lot like Spring-Heeled Jack in many ways with the way that they operated.
As wretched as the stories would have us believe? Or were the tales of his monstrous pursuits exacerbated by societal frenzy, encouraged by eyewitness embellishments and outright fabrications? The truth we may never know, but one thing is for certain. The legend of Jack lingers, even today, and his name once struck ice-cold terror into the hearts of those who feared they may be unlucky enough to cross his path on a dark, bitter London evening.
See, they kept the horns but lost the tail. If you're going to keep the horns, you can keep the tail.
Thank you for joining us for another gathering of the Midnight Quarter.
That was a pretty good coverage
We'll
of
see you
it.
again when the clock strikes.
And I like that, there towards the end you went over the different, more grounded theories about what this could have been. So I do recommend the Midnight Quarter. I'm going to subscribe. If you guys like this sort of topic, I think you should subscribe too. But that was Spring-Heeled Jack. What do you guys think? Was it a secret society? Was it a prankster? Let me know in the comments down below. Please remember to be kind. Take care, and we will see you next time. All right. I am going to go into an intermission. I have to go to the bathroom really bad. I'm having a bellyache. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And please enjoy. I don't even know what I have for intermission. Hopefully it's a longer one because I might be gone for a minute. Anyway, if I'm gone for a minute, I'm gone for a minute. But I'll be back. All right. Here we go.
Did the evolutionists just kill the pterodactyl? Or did they finally catch up to the creationists?
Obviously, there's not going to be a ton of talk about these things. And the thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War. And they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out. And this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge wing length. And it's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so, I don't believe that just because, at some point in time, coming from your perspective, that, just because they stopped talking about it means that they never saw it, when we have all this evidence that they've seen it.
Hello, my name is John Pendleton, and I'm speaking to you from Zacatecas, Mexico, center of Mexico. And today I'm going to tell you of my project to attract and capture a real living pterodactyl dinosaur.
But to the Christian, it makes common sense. Of course, there could be a few still alive. That's the first sighting I've heard of in Fort Worth, Texas. I've heard of them in Arizona. A friend of mine knows where some of them live, and he's going to go catch them and put them in a dinosaur adventure land he's going to build. And I can't reveal the details yet.
They're a form of what people call them pterodactyl. But if we consider them descended from some type of ramphorhynch or pterosaur.
Did the evolutionists just kill the pterodactyl?
Oh, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another Weird Wednesday installment here. Or I guess it's not on Wednesday anymore. I don't know. I'm kind of shuffling things around, figuring out what I want to do there. But this segment's just about weird people making weird claims. So thank you for sticking around with me. This is where things are gonna get sketch. Now, what triggered me to put this on the list again was none other than Candace Owens herself. Now, if you don't know who Candace Owens is, it's okay. She's not that important. She was a correspondent with the Daily Wire. Before that, she was a Black Pill Red or something like that. Was her handle, but she's a conspiracy theorist. She's very in the Alex Jones vein with what kind of stuff she believes. Thank you for promoting my shirts. Yes, they're CrypticCorner shirts for everybody. So she some of the stuff that she promotes, she's very anti-Semitic, I guess. So she has gone quite anti-Semitic here in the last few months since she left the Daily Wire. But she went to Dinosaur denial recently. She denies the moon landing. She has wild conspiracy theories about COVID, about the election, about Martin Luther King Jr., but I wanted to focus on this couple minutes she has here about dinosaurs not being real, and we're going to look at some other folks making similar claims. Oh yeah, she's also the one, she's a transvestigator. Definitely a transvestigator. She accuses everybody of being trans, from Michelle Obama to the First Lady of France. Yeah. Anyhow, let's get right into it. So she recently did this interview on a show called Jack Neal. and he's a evangelical podcaster guy too. So, but I'm just going to follow the section here where she's talking about the dinosaurs. That's only like 5 minutes, but we got more follow-ups.
There's a lot of incentive structures, like reasons that the government would want to push these narratives for their own benefit. But one that you talked about, and you haven't gone into it too much in depth, but you don't believe dinosaurs are real.
So this is a funny one. So this is one of the ones where I'm like, gut, I'm not kidding. This conversation happened and it was so funny. I was just walking with Savannah, my manager, because we do like these little evening walks. And I just looked up to her and I was like, dinosaurs, that seems pretty fake and gay. She's like, Savannah's from Tennessee. She's like, I've never believed in dinosaurs. Like literally, this is
what makes them gay though? That's the thing. Yeah, I'm sure she does think the Olympic boxers were gay, were trans. I mean, but what would make dinosaurs gay? Dinosaurs are kind of badass. I mean, it doesn't get much more masculine than dinosaurs, does it? I mean, as far as animals go, that's like the masculinized animal. I think they're over masculinized myself. That's why people freaked out when they got feathers. Actually, a long time ago, I did a video about dinosaurs being considered gay because of our less ferocious or whatever, because there was some kind of woke movement, woke dinosaurs. Yeah, there it is. T-Rex goes woke. Hold on. Here's a link to it. How long ago was this? I might have to... Oh, hold on. Give me just a second here. Yeah, this is pre-transition, but... Well, sort of. This is like my NB ugly duckling kind of face. So if you want to see that, here's me talking about the name of this video was Did T-Rex Go Woke?
Everyone thinks there's like some conspiracy behind it. I was like, that was how it started. And I was like, what on earth? You rawr. I'm like, it's funny because people will literally say they don't believe in...
Well, like, animals today go rawr. Dinosaurs don't even, we don't even know that they roared at all. They probably bellowed like gators, if anything, or maybe made even some tweets and stuff. They didn't have, I don't think that they had a syrinx, which is what birds use to make their beautiful sounds. At least not any that I'm familiar with. I don't know. If someone knows when that evolved, drop it in the side chat, but yeah.
God, but then tell them like dinosaurs aren't real and they fall apart. Like I'm like, okay, so they're just roaming the planet. And I was like, that's really interesting. But then, because I got into and very much subscribe and believe and know to be true that there is a Christ conspiracy that's happening right now, which is the intentional removal of Christ because they want people not to believe in God, but instead to believe in humans. Well, that.
So yeah, she's very Zionist though. She retains her Zionism, but leans into this. Godzilla roars. Obviously, dinosaurs had to roar too. That's true. And then Jurassic Park dinosaurs roared. So that has to be true, right? Bears, for instance, are very masculine. Yeah, well, bears are also gay, though. I mean, I can't think of when you say bear to me. I'm sure some dinos were, but what's wrong with that? Let the Rex love who it wants to love.
That is what evolutionary theory was about. Because rather than making human beings believe that they had a creator, there was no concept of a dinosaur until 1850. That's very recent, right? That's the first time they were like, we actually think that there were these reptiles.
Well, there were the first time that science like examined in detail dinosaur bones, but Chinese medicine had been grinding up dinosaur bones for thousands of years for traditional medicine, for thousands of years. And in Europe, they charms and stuff like with dinosaur teeth or mammoth tusk and things like that. I know there was a rhino skull in Germany that was worshipped and held in a monk sanctuary for or from what I call monastery, a monk sanctuary, a monastery for decades, a cave rhino skull. So they did know about these large animals that had lived in previous generations. It depends on where they live too, because different formations have fossils and some don't. Parts of Europe have fossils and parts don't. The finds were, this is a giant lizard and things like that. This is a dragon. So it's funny that dinosaurs were dragons when dragons were dinosaurs, at least to some extent. But yeah, the people have been finding dinosaur bones and fossils and stuff for tens of thousands of years. We have trilobites with holes in them from ancient people making necklace charms out of them. Don't give me that nonsense.
Are roaming the planet, and then within that same decade, they were like, dinosaur bones, and they started finding them everywhere. I'm like, okay, so nobody found this, and then suddenly there's entire museums.
They did find it, Candace. They found them all over. They just, different cultures had different interpretations of what they were, with the gods and monsters and whatnot, and they would use them, grind them up into medicine and things like that, put them on display in monasteries. Just stop. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
And in China, they have actually been caught manufacturing dinosaur bones many times over. And it is the case that dinosaur bones, for whatever reason, are always just found by the paleontologists. Like, it's not like you and me walking outside. I'm like, hey, a dinosaur bone. And
no, you can go out to formations and find dinosaur bones. I got friends that do that. They're not paleontologists. They're just like normal people. And they go out into I've been fossil hunting before, not for dinosaur bones, but for carboniferous fossils in Mason Creek in Illinois,
or by somebody who's related to a paleontologist. It's very strange. But anyways, I don't know for sure.
But you think the incentive structure there is to move away from God?
Well, they want you to believe that God isn't real.
The dinosaurs are our gods. Don't you know?
That like the theory of evolution, like you're an ape. What happened was just over time, like you used to be a little chimpanzee, but then with time, this is why you learn.
No, you were never a chimpanzee. We have a common ancestor with chimpanzee. The knuckle walking that chimpanzees do is a secondary adaptation to their environment in low forest and semi-arboreal habitats. Now, humans, on the other hand, we went the other direction and took our semi-upright stance completely upright and moved into the open plains and became bipedal pursuit predators. So our common ancestor was not bipedal or a knuckle walker. We shared a common ancestor that was partially upright. Yeah, fun stuff.
About theory of evolution, Homo sapien, Australopithecus, but then we were Homo erectus, and now you're a human being.
Isn't that the definition of Satanism?
Yeah.
Like Homo erectus is a human being. Hold on, how is that Satanism? I gotta hear this.
Then we were Homo erectus, and now you're a human being.
Isn't that the definition of Satanism?
Yeah.
Like to believe that like Earth is the kingdom?
Yes, and that is what these people were pushing.
What kingdom? Why do we have to live in a monarchy? What is your all's obsession with monarchies and hierarchies? There is no kingdom. This is the one shot we get. We're here on this planet. I mean, I don't know if it is, but we should live like it is. We should make sure that future generations can enjoy it like we get to.
And so once you start to realize that Satanism is real, that these people who created everything that we view in Western society to be real believed in Satan, right? They know God's real, and yet they're convincing everyone that God isn't. And so when you speak to people that are super rational out of school, you're like, well, the evolutionary theory makes sense. So it makes sense to you that you started as a chimpanzee. Like, that's a faith, buddy. It makes sense to you. And if you say to them, like, of course.
Nobody says we started as a chimpanzee, Candace. Why do you gotta misrepresent it in order to sell your narrative? You are an ape. We are all apes. I'm an ape. John Hudson's an ape. D. Arks is an ape. I believe Joshua Davidson is an ape. Rainbow Ash is an ape. We're all apes. Your mom was an ape. My mom was an ape. Her mom was an ape. Right?
went to the moon. Then you start talking about basic science, but they don't actually know. They can't talk to you about Van Allen belt. They don't know anything. It's a faith. Like they have asserted, and what's interesting.
Wait, is that a moon
talk to you
land?
about Van Allen belt. They don't know where she went to the moon. Then you start talking about basic science, but they don't actually know. They can't talk to you about Van Allen belt. They don't know anything. It's a faith. Like they have asserted, and what's interesting, even
it's because when we went to the when we went beyond the Van Allen belt in the past, we had analog equipment that wasn't impacted by the electromagnetic interference of the Van Allen belt as badly as digital equipment that we use in modern logistics for rocket science.
Going to the moon, the Bible talks about a firmament, and if the firmament in the Bible, if you look at that, you would go, okay, well, it says that as below, so above, and this is how God created it. So if the Bible is real, which I know in my heart to be true, there's no way we got past this firmament. But it's interesting because
wasn't the firmament supposed to be pre-flood though? Wasn't the firmament gone after the flood?
Once you start to realize that all of it is about countering everything that is in the Bible, right? You have a creator. No. Evolutionary theory is real, actually. What happened was a meteor hit, and I don't know, like the meteor hit and wiped out the dinosaurs, but then like the lizards came. I don't even really, when you get down to even just thinking about that, you're like...
Because you're super dumb. That's why. The meteor hit and then the lizards come. What? There were lizards before there were lizards during the Mesozoic, during their age of dinosaurs. Lepidosaurs were a thing. As a matter of fact, the biggest marine animal was a lizard at the time of the dinosaurs. It was a mosasaur. And they are just giant aquatic, or giant marine varanids, basically, giant marine monitor lizards. So no, lizards didn't come after. It's like the mammals didn't come after. We've been here for a long time. Matter of fact, synapsids, which mammals are, were dominant before the Great Dying at the end of the Permian.
Okay, so it wiped out the dinosaurs. Then what happened? They're like, well, then the amoeba was around, but then like little lizards are from that. I actually don't.
So she thinks that like our evolution from single cell organisms happened after the TK extinction event. That is wild. She's got her timeline all janked up.
I have a lot of questions. I wish I was in 6th grade again, because they tell us all this stuff. Like dinosaurs are like when you're in 2nd grade, and guys are like, yeah. Guys are the hardest about the dinosaurs. They are dinosaur stands.
I love dinosaurs growing up.
I know. Boys love it. It's like a culture. So when
I love dinosaurs, and I'm a girl, so you don't have to be a boy. I know lots of girls who love dinosaurs. I got toy dinosaurs, and yeah, we love dinosaurs. Land Before Time, bitch.
I said this on my show. I was like, dinosaurs are fake and gay. My producer, all the boys were like, no, you've taken it too far. I will quit this show. It was really funny. I was like, oh, it's so sweet. You guys love your dinosaur still. And my son loves his dinosaur. But it is interesting that like they kind of drop it after 2nd grade. Like they take you to the Natural History Museum, and then there's no more talk about dinosaurs like later on in school. And they understand that children's minds are malleable. But when you get older, you might ask some questions. Like I would have a lot of questions now if I was sitting in 2nd grade.
We learn natural history and biology all the way up through high school. What kind of school did you go to, Candace?
And they were like, in a great big meteor hit, and then all the dinosaurs went away. I would be like, oh, okay, but then what happened?
Bye, Fox.
Then what happened? And I don't think that we...
Do you think that's the higher-ups' attempt to maybe get us used to the idea of a mass extinction event?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. And it
multiple mass extinction events, babe.
It very much empowers the fear that people have in like climate change, and well, this could happen again, or if we don't get this right. And ultimately, what are they doing? Drawing you more towards the idea.
Dinosaurs are tasty, Maya. I love turkey. I love chicken.
Yeah, that a creator is not real, but ultimate governance is real. So you have to make sacrifices. Don't think about God being real. If you want to stay alive, what are you going to sacrifice to government? Okay, well, you can't use oil. I mean, you can't use gasoline and petrol. You're going to have to drive electric cars, you know? Well, we've got to reduce the temperature by this and by that. And you see that is a religion. And these people will call them...
What? That's just the science of... progress, yo. We have to move forward, Candace. We can't just like, oh, we're going to stick with this archaic technology and refuse to advance anymore. What is that all about? Where does that mindset come from? It's so Luddite to me. We can't. It's so woke to push green energy and to push for innovation of how we do industry and manufacturing and stuff. Like, oh no, we got to fight back against that. What is that? What is that mindset? You have to be getting paid by the fossil fuel industry to think that that's a good narrative. People want to progress as far as our technology goes. We want better technology. We want more efficient, more affordable technology. We've tapped fossil fuel, right? We've tapped it out. We've come to certain positions on its limitations. It's time to move forward with new technology, new motors and engines that run on alternative means of fuel, on sunlight. Let's have them run on sunlight.
Themselves atheists. I'm like, you guys have a deeper faith than anything I've ever known. These people, when the government says mask up, save lives, let your parents die alone, they listen. They listen, and they laugh at the Catholics. Like, oh, you believe in the sacraments. I'm like, homie, okay, you believe in things that are so utterly absurd.
You believe in viruses. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, we've experienced more. That's depends on the major mass extinction thing. So there's 12 big extinction events that we know about. But yeah, there's the 5 big ones: the KT, the Great Dying. But like things like the Carboniferous rainforest collapse are usually not included in that list, and those are important events that did change the cycle of how things were speciating at the time. That changed the face of the ecology. And every time it comes back a little bit different.
I mean, during COVID, if the government had said, hop on one foot, that's the only way you're going to stay alive, you would have seen mofos. Like,
I mean, the 6 feet thing was really funny.
Of course, like common sense, that just sounded stupid. And again, it's the intuition. Can I explain?
Yeah, that's the problem. Your intuition is like flawed as fuck, Candace.
Why that sounds stupid in scientific terms, science, which I think has become a faith. No, I just have this intuition. I think God gives you your intuition. That's the Holy Spirit. That this is really stupid. And yet you saw people get in line. So I believe that the cult of science, the people that deem themselves atheists, have just had this.
Like, atheists are a huge minority. I mean, not a huge minority, a small minority, I guess would be a better way to say it, compared to believers who also believe in science and evolution and the moon landing. Most people who are opposed to you are Christian, Candace. Atheists are just a small part. Don't pretend that everybody who disagrees with you is an atheist, because we're not even a fraction. We aren't even a fraction of what of the population that thinks your theories are conspiratorial and your nonsense, right? Everything you're saying is nonsense. Most people who disagree with you are of the same faith. Most Catholics disagree with you, Candace. Most Catholics disagree with you about evolution. The Pope disagrees with you about evolution.
This terrible thing happened where they have transferred their innate faith and they've given it to ultimate government. And that's what the government's all about. They want you to believe in the government for every solution in your life and not to know that you are a spiritual being. Yeah. God is real. You have a creator. You are going to meet your creator one day. And humans, you are not your own God.
So that's Candace going on about this, but is this the one I was looking for? Yeah, look, this was 5 months ago. Lord Jamar says dinosaurs never existed.
I was checking out your podcast, right, and you made a comment that I want you to go more into detail about. You feel like dinosaurs never existed? So you feel like that was all made up?
Mm-hmm. Nah, of course it was. It's just to make us feel insignificant. Like, so if the dinosaurs existed, right? And they were some of the, they ran the planet and all that.
They didn't run the planet. They were just big animals. The whole dinosaurs ruled the earth. It's just colorful language, really.
Somehow meteors took all the dinosaurs off of Earth Well, why is there any life on Earth then?
Because it wiped out megafauna who needed a high caloric intake in order to survive. When you wipe out the vast majority of life, only the small organisms are going to be able to thrive in that environment. Megafauna tends to die out pretty easy when there's vast and impactful environmental shifts like those brought on by a impact event.
What is their explanation? Cockroaches lived, so now we all evolved from cockroaches?
No, it was more than just cockroaches that survived. Little mammals survived. Little shrew-like mammals were our ancestors that survived that extinction event. But other species did too. I mean, crocodilians survived it. Insects did survive it, though. But we are not insects. We are not arthropods. You are closer related to the dinosaurs than you are to arthropods.
Evolution itself is a lie. There is no evolution. One species cannot transform into another species.
We've seen speciation. We've observed speciation. We've created speciation in the lab settings. No, speciation's really does happen.
It's impossible. If we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys?
There it is. That's the golden question. If Americans came from Europeans, why are there still Europeans? Right? If French came from Latin, why is there still Latin? You know? All these different languages. We understand with language, right? It evolves. You get, all the Romantic languages all evolve from Latin.
Why didn't all the monkeys evolve into humans?
Because the environmental pressures are what evolved our ancestors into humans, right? There was this period of time about 10 to 5 million years ago where there was a bit of drying up in Africa, which used to have these vast rainforests that ran from basically from the Mediterranean, right, all the way down to South Africa. And those started to recede, and there were bigger gaps between the forest where these apes were thriving, and the ones who could better cross from one area or from one forest to the other had a better chance of surviving and passing on their genomes, which meant the taller ones that could stand up and keep an eye out for predators when they're running across the savanna from forest to forest were able to thrive. And then you just see that trend drive us to be bipedal. And the other fact, I could go into all the different factors of why we evolve certain characteristics, like we're hairless, or not hairless, so our hair is thin. We still have the same amount of hair follicles as other apes, but in order to help us sweat to keep cool so that we could run across these vast distances, we are largely tropical pursuit predators.
Where are the species that are in mid-evolution right now?
Every species is in mid-evolution right now. I assure you. You're in mid-evolution between whatever your ancestors were and whatever your descendants will be.
Show me a species that is like half one thing and half another.
All species are half one thing and half another, halfway between their ancestral species and their descendant species, right? I mean, if you look at, we'll just use domesticated species to put it into perspective, like a dog, right? There was a point in time where there was a breed that was halfway between wild wolves and modern dogs. You could even just for example, you could call a Siberian Husky, right? Halfway between an Arctic wolf and a pug, right? You can do that. You can say, if you want to see something halfway evolved.
You can go back millions of years to certain fossils of all kinds of different species, and they've been the exact same for millions of years.
Like
They
what?
have the
Like what? Are you talking about animals or species that have adapted to their niche and no longer face the ecological pressures to go through changes because their niche is stabilized? Is that what we're talking about?
fossils to prove them. So where is this evolution? And dinosaurs are supposed to be part of this evolutionary process, because basically what they're like lizards that grew to such a mass.
Well, I mean, Lepidosaurs and Archosaurs are sister clades, but birds are dinosaurs, and then the crocodilians are going to be closer related than lizards. Pterosaurs are going to be closer related to them than lizards. Archosaurs, Lepidosaurs are snakes and lizards. Some of the marine reptiles of the Mesozoic. Obviously, there were more clays than there are today, but the main Lepidosaurs you think about today are lizards and snakes and tuataras. But they're not really all that closely related to dinosaurs. If you want to talk about dinosaurs, it's better to talk about birds today. And if you want to talk about how closely related they are, you can correlate crocodilians.
State. Now, do I believe there were animals that exist today that were bigger at another time? Yes, I do. Do I believe there were like saber-toothed tigers and woolly mammoths? And dare I say, giant humans? There's way more evidence for...
He believes in giant humans, but not dinosaurs. Isn't that crazy?
All of that than there ever was for any fucking dinosaurs. The first time you even heard of dinosaurs is in the 1800s sometimes. Look it up.
He's making the same arguments. That's why I picked this one. It's like he watched Candace and just kind of ran with what she says.
When somebody claimed that, maybe it was with this whole evolutionary theory, and when they magically, when the term dinosaur came up, and they started looking for dinosaurs, they magically found them.
They'd been finding them all along. They just hadn't been classifying them as extinct animals, right? They didn't know what they were. There were all sorts of different names for the different types of bones and what they thought they were. Giant prehistoric shark teeth were a popular one, but like we mentioned before, there was a rhinoceros skull that was worshipped or not worshipped, but at a monastery in Germany. There was all sorts of charms and dinosaur bones being ground up into ancient medicine. This is Lord Jamar.
Up until that, you never heard of dinosaurs. You never heard of them in the Bible. You never heard of dinosaurs any other time. Now they'll show us some fake cave paintings that they say depict dinosaurs and like that.
I agree with you there. If there's a cave painting that says it's depicting a dinosaur, it's fake. Unless it's a bird, because birds are real.
I
think. Are birds fake?
Question the authenticity of those cave paintings.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Because nowhere else are any dinosaurs ever mentioned. Yet giants are mentioned multiple times in multiple...
But we find dinosaurs like everywhere. We don't find giants anywhere. Why is that, Jamar?
Civilizations for hundreds and thousands of years through history.
Sharks are older than trees. Sharks are older than the North Star. Sharks are old.
And we have 7-foot tall people that exist right now, but we ain't got nothing that looks like a dinosaur.
Except for dinosaurs that we have now. An ostrich looks like a dinosaur. It's a dinosaur. A parakeet looks like a dinosaur, and it's a dinosaur. I mean, if you're wanting to go big, I'm saying, we got condors, we got emus, got cassowaries. You want to go up to him and tell him he's not a dinosaur? Go up to that cassowary and say, hey, you're not a dinosaur. See how that works out for you.
Not one thing. And if you look how those dinosaurs are anatomically designed, bro, they wouldn't even be able to walk or move or anything. Like, it's almost ridiculous.
Citation needed, Jamar. They couldn't walk. Why? Birds can walk. I've seen lots of birds walk. Birds can fly even. That's more than we can do.
They'd be falling over, like weight-wise and all of that, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's one of the most ridiculous designs that they ever came up with.
It walks like a bird. It walks like a theropod on its hind legs. What is ridiculous about it? You're going to have to elaborate, babe. You know.
Yeah, that shit is a lie to make you feel insignificant, to make you feel like, listen, if the dinosaurs could be extinct, you could be extinct tomorrow. Now, first of all, they talk about all these meteors, showers, and where are they? How come we've never seen nothing get hit since? The Earth ain't been hit by no meteor.
Yes, it has. Multiple times. Even in the modern times, there's been meteor strikes. Dude, come on. You can just Google it. There's meteor strikes all the time. Wow.
Since when? When the last time we got hit with a meteor that caused a crater? They say there's craters on the Earth that's supposed to be from meteors. Where's the aftermath of the meteor?
There's an iridium layer all around the globe that demonstrates and corroborates the Chicxulub impact crater, which is a huge impact crater in the southern Gulf of Mexico. So we have the crater, we have the iridium from the strike.
Where's the rock? They say the moon, first of all, the moon is not a solid object, but they say that it was what you see are craters that are hit by meteors. Well, why we don't see the moon get hit by meteors now?
Well, the solar system is kind of, the planets, it's part of the category to be a planet, have cleared their orbit for the most part of large bodies, right? That's one of the criteria to be a planet, is you have to clear your orbit. So things used to be a lot more active before things were cleared, before the region was cleared out by these giant, heavy gravitating planets. There's and they've incorporated the mass from those impacts into their own planetary mass now, and the moons too. So, yeah, hopefully that explains it. KT boundary, yeah, That's where you see that iridium layer. That's correct.
Do meteors not exist anymore? Why are they not hitting these satellites?
We just talked about the Tunguska blast just a couple weeks ago. It could have been a meteor. There's a few different things it could have been. But yeah, it did leave some impact zones. Yeah, that was. I haven't even edited that one down yet, but that'll be coming soon.
It's that you claim are in space. These thousands of satellites that we never see against the silhouette of the moon or any, we never see these things.
Oh, he doesn't believe in satellites either. I'm guessing this guy's probably a flat earther.
They never crash into each other. They don't need any fuel or anything like that to propel them. What's going on here?
Because they're out in space. In space, there's no friction to slow them down. They just need to use their launch trajectory to maintain their speed and everything. They don't need additional thrusters or anything like that. They're in outer space where there's no resistance or friction to keep them from doing their rotation around the planet.
There's a lot of lies going on, Art, and the dinosaurs is just a tip of the iceberg, bro. That's just a tip of the iceberg. We've been lied to about a lot of from very young. This is why they teach you this bullshit when you're a child. They teach you all these lies when you're a child. And all I'll say is, do your own research, people. You can literally make a dinosaur skeleton out of chicken bones.
And it would still be a dinosaur skeleton because guess what, brah? Chickens are dinosaurs. Chickens are a species of modern dinosaur. Boom.
You could take a chicken bones, rearrange them, and make a skeleton, make it look like a skeleton of a dinosaur.
How are you going to do that with chicken bones? You're going to make a T-Rex with chicken bones? Come on now.
Bro. It's nonsense. Evolution, nonsense.
It's nonsense, y'all. Hold on. Oh, we don't want to watch Ken Ham and what's her name, Allie Beth Stuckey talk about dinosaurs. We'll let this guy go. Here we go. And he's gonna present himself as, I think this guy might be trolling though. Is this a troll?
On to our next question. Do you believe in dinosaurs?
Okay. So, an interview with Professor Galligan, a man with almost 20 years of experience working in the U.S. government. He gives his opinion on dinosaurs and answers questions. Did dinosaurs really exist? All right. Let's go.
Dinosaurs.
Kids, I just want to let you know, dinosaurs are fake. Dinosaurs are fantasy. Jurassic Park.
Godzilla.
People watch it in movies and they think, it must be real. It's bollocks. There's a museum in London I've been to many times. You may have been there if you live in London. Or Uberlitz.
Science Museum?
The Science
I like
Museum.
how he's wearing his lab coat, like, reminds me of our Dr. Tapioca Weasel.
Natural History Museum. Based in Kensington. I definitely recommend you go and check it out. If you want to see some bullshit. Dinosaurs are fake. If you speak to someone senior in any of these museums, right, you have a conversation with them and you ask them, excuse me sir, and let me be honest, I'm gonna do a video where I go to these museums and I question them straight up so you can see it for yourself. You ask them, are these bones real? If you've been to these museums with these dinosaur fossils and
You mean, are the cast that are on display real? No, they're cast. Because the real fossils are made of rock. You can't build a skeleton with rocks. Yeah, we use a lighter material that we can actually make them stand.
You can probably imagine, as a kid, you were like, wow, yeah, but I've seen a T-Rex, constructed. No, you haven't. You might think I'm a bit harsh. And you know what? It's not that you're stupid.
I have, because you don't understand that we have the full, how much of a skeleton of a T-Rex do we have? I think one of them we have 82% of the full skeletons. It's a huge number.
It's just that I'm just more intelligent than you. It's a
Oh, you are, huh?
Some members may find that quite offensive. You just called them idiots, but yet you said they're not stupid. Which one is it?
If I'm honest, you're stupid. But it's not your fault. And you may look at me and think, oh my god, this guy, he's so intelligent, he knows so much. Don't be intimidated by me. Okay?
See, this is why I think it may be a troll. This guy may be trolling, making fun of that whole dinosaurs are fake movement.
Okay, I'm a lot smarter than the average man. And I know that that's intimidating. And I know that that might, cause a bit of a stir. But you just have to respect it. The dinosaur bones. Ask any member of staff in these museums, are the bones real? Are the bones real? They will tell you categorically the bones are fake.
No, they will not. They will say, these are cast of real bones that we have in our collection. We use cast because the material is lighter and we can put it on display easier. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Tell you, the real bones are locked away in vaults because they're too precious.
They're not just too precious. It's because they're rocks. They're stone. I mean, you can. A lot of museums will have the actual fossils on display too, but they're generally like a piece in a case. It's not the big displays, the reconstructions and stuff are not made out of real bones. Generally, they're not. They're out of real fossils. Of course, you keep using the word bones in your description here too, and bones are not present in fossils, right? They've been mineralized. They've been replaced by minerals, and it's heavy, and you can't.
Fuck! Security. Yes, as you will.
Thank you. Ask someone serious, someone senior, are these bones real? And they will tell you no, the real bones are locked away in vaults. Has that done something to you?
But you just said they're locked away in vaults, but then you said they're not real. So if dinosaurs...
Can you let me finish, please?
Of course.
Is this... Are you asking questions, or are you conducting the interview?
I really think this has got to be a troll. He's doing a really good job, though. I mean, because there's people that actually are like this.
Itself, as well as asking the questions.
As we just watched.
I just want the truth, like the people. We just want the truth.
We want the truth, Doctor.
Being a bit of an arsehole. You need to let me finish.
Okay. As you will. My sincere apologies.
I don't accept your apology. I respect it, but I don't accept it. Thank you. Anyway, back to me. Back to what's important. Ask them if the bones are real. They'll tell you they're not. They're locked away in vaults, okay? And just think about it. These bones that you've seen at the Natural History Museums, at any of these museums with dinosaurs in, you know that they're fake. How does that make you feel? Because as a kid, I thought they were all real. I thought that these were real bones. I thought I was looking at real dinosaurs.
Well, somebody misled you, maybe.
No. And they will tell you they're fake. They're made from just bullshit. They make them. Plaster cast fucking models.
Plaster casts, not models. Well, I mean, I guess they could be models depending on what size they are. If they're smaller than the actual size, then they could be considered models.
Bollocks. Right? And they say the real bones are locked away in vaults because they're too precious. Yeah. Alright, mate. Who's got access to them? Fuck knows. No.
You can see some of them. They put them on display a lot of places. They'll put the real ones on display, and then they'll have like maybe a case with the actual T-Rex fossilized teeth, and then they'll have the big T-Rex reconstruction in front of you, right? There'll be like a case, or maybe just a femur bone in a display, right, of the actual fossil, and then they'll have the display up there. But when they collect them, they wrap them in plaster to protect them.
Right. If you're a kid and you want to be a paleontologist, you're an arsehole. Dinosaurs don't exist. What you're doing. It's like being an astronaut. Doesn't exist. Okay? Dinosaurs are fake. Get over it.
Okay, on to the next question.
It's like an astronaut. I like that. Yeah, because astronauts are fake too. I think that was a troll. I really do. But what do you guys think about the whole dinosaurs are fake movement? Like, is this something that you were familiar with before? Have you ever run into this conspiracy before? Do you think dinosaurs are fake? What evidence do you have that they are faking this? Let us know in the comments down below. And please remember to be kind. Take care, and we will see you next time. All right, Hive. It's that time again where I'm going to do an intermission. We're at the 2-hour mark. Here in half an hour, we will be kicking everybody over to the Kentucky Atheist. He's doing this review here shortly, so we'll be going over there. It's reviewing Forest, a review of someone reviewing Forest Valkai, and it was absolutely hilarious last night, or yesterday. So we're going to continue that up if he opens it up, I might even come in. I don't know yet. But before we do that, I got another half an hour to go. We were all dumber for having listened into this. Yeah, I should use that Billy Madison scene, but I'm afraid to get copyright struck. I'm going to take an intermission, and when we get back, we're going to look at this gorilla, 100 gorillas versus, or 100 men versus one gorilla kind of meme that's going around. That's going to be our Breeze Beast theory, and I'll see you there in just a minute. But I'm going to take an intermission, and I will be back.
This legend raises a lovely problem. How does it come about that the face of a warrior is cut on the carapace of a Japanese crab? How could it be? The answer seems to be that humans made this face. But how? Like many other features, the patterns on the back or carapace of this crab are inherited. But among crabs, as among humans, there are many different hereditary lines. Now, suppose purely by chance, among the distant ancestors of this crab, there came to be one which looked just a little bit like a human face. Long before the battle, fishermen may have been reluctant to eat a crab with a human face. In throwing it back into the sea, they were setting into motion a process of selection. If you're a crab, and your carapace is just ordinary, the humans are going to eat you. But if it looks a little bit like a face, they'll throw you back, and you'll be able to have lots of nice little baby crabs that all look just like you. As many generations passed of crabs and fisher folk alike, the crabs with patterns that look most like a samurai face preferentially survived. Until eventually, there was produced not just a human face, not just a Japanese face, but the face of a samurai warrior. All this has nothing to do with what the crabs might want. Selection is imposed from the outside. The more you look like a samurai, the better your chances of survival. Eventually, there are a lot of crabs that look like samurai warriors.
All right, my beauties and bees, welcome to another installment of Breeze Bestiary, and today we have a fun topic for you because we are going to be discussing this current memed topic about 100 men versus one gorilla, right? I'm sure you've all seen it on social media at some point, somewhere around the internets, that there's this big debate on whether 100 men can defeat a single silverback gorilla in combat. It's a silly question. It's a ridiculous question, really, but I'll get into why in just a little bit. But the first thing I want to say is that this is not a new concept. I've been part of the animal conflict kind of community since the early 2000s, right? I was part of this. So there's this big community on pro boards called Carnivora, right? It was all about debating animals and animal. We would trade papers and discuss deep in depth. And I talked about this in my lion versus tiger discussion too. We would go into depth about, the differences between, the animals' statistics and, everything, like the millimeters of their canines and the thickness of their hide and everything, just to try to get an idea. And people would debate for hours. We were big nerds, like the biggest nerds on the internet. I even made my own group with my brother. I think it was animal versus animal. Let me see if it's still around. It might be. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Look at that. That's still around. So, yeah, I used to be one of the admins on this group. They've moved over to Tap Talk now. I think they bought out. I don't administrate here anymore. I don't do forums anymore, really. But we would discuss animal versus animal face off right there. Look at that. Which is gonna take you to a page where just people, Siberian tiger versus brown bear, lion and tiger fight. Look at that, 1.5K or 1.4K talk. The lion versus tiger, sun bear versus golden tabby tiger. Tiger versus lion's a very popular debate. It's like T-Rex versus Spinosaurus and stuff like that. But I used to be big into this group. And apes have their fanboys is what we call them, or what we called them. I was in every group has its fanboys. I was a cat fangirl. Like, I'd get called that all the time because I believe cats are quite precision predators. One of the best predators on the planet, which is why they're such a problem. Domestic cats are amazing creatures. I get called a cat fangirl because of that. But, there'll be people that stand for bears or canids, especially fighting dog breeds, unfortunately. But we won't get into that today. But there were also people that would stand for apes and the superhuman strength of apes, which is... there's a lot of misconceptions about apes, so we're going to get into that. But instead of me just starting for fresh, I'm going to go to Creature Challenge to kind of break that down, because they did a video just a few years ago before this even hit the fan, and they talk about this type of stuff too. Lion versus gorilla, gorilla versus panda, Joe Rogan versus the chimpanzee. What animal could the strongest man beat in a fight? We got gorilla versus the strong man. Gorilla beats leopard. So there's a lot of ape stuff. And debunking a lot of ape stuff as well, which is what we're going to be doing today. How much can a gorilla lift? How much can a gorilla bench press? Yeah, let's dive right in. Let me know how the audio is.
Uses actual science to back up its claims. Warning: the following content uses actual science to back up its claims rather than whims and speculation. If you wish to keep believing that gorillas are all-powerful beings that can one-hit a lion, then click off this video now. Gorilla fanboys, you have been warned.
Yeah, suck it, gorilla fanboys. Coming at you now with science.
Gorillas, gorillas, gorillas. We all know them, and we all like them. But their fanboys can be pretty annoying. There are people who think a gorilla can lift 27 times their body weight. That's the same weight as a fully grown African bush elephant. There are even some websites that claim a gorilla can crush a crocodile. I don't know about you, but I don't think a crocodile is just gonna magically let a gorilla pick it up.
Yeah, I don't know where they come up with these nonsense claims like that. Like, how's a gorilla gonna crush a crocodile? Is it a sedated crocodile? It's not gonna tail whip the gorilla to keep it from picking it up at all? That's not going to turn around and snap at it and bite into its shoulder?
Anyways, I want to say that I'm starting a new series on disproving fanboys and debunking common myths. So sit back, relax, and watch to the end, because this is going to be a very interesting video.
And I see Sandy out there. Sandy, maybe next week I need to talk about black bears. You think I need to talk about black bears and their babies? And I could, black bears are right now, right this time of year, are raising their adorable little babies. And I know somebody in North Carolina who has black bears crawling all over their property. And Sandy covers black bears too, so.
All right, before
I love Kong. Do not get me wrong. I love King Kong. I love all iterations of King Kong. I'm a kaiju fangirl. I love big monsters. I love monsters in general. You guys know that by now, but one of my favorite movies from the 90s is Congo. I think it's highly underrated. The Gray Gorillas as a antagonist. Amazing stuff. And Tim Curry in that movie is magnifique. Hector Homolka, formerly of Romania.
Before we start debunking common myths, we should get some base stats of a gorilla first. These beasts mainly roam the lowlands and rainforests of Central Africa.
I like this name for the species because genus. Yeah, so gorilla is the genus. They're all in the species gorilla. The subspecies is gorilla. These two are in the subspecies gorilla. So the genus and then the species gorilla. So it's G gorilla, and then you have the subspecies which are gorilla. And I love it. Look at that. That's the western lowland gorilla, by the way. All this down here. If you go to the zoo, that's generally what you're seeing in the zoo. Is a western lowland gorilla, unless it says otherwise. Just easy to, if they say just gorilla, it's assume
roam
that.
the lowlands and rainforests of Central Africa. They are mainly herbivorous, eating fruits and lush vegetation, but they have been known to eat insects. A healthy silverback gorilla can weigh between 350 to 430 pounds and can stand between 5 feet 6 inches to 6 feet tall on their hind legs. The largest gorilla subspecies is the eastern lowland.
He's so handsome. Look how handsome he is. I want to stroke his face, tell him he's a good boy. Look at that. I want to hang on to. I'm gonna climb on his back like a big gorilla and have him take me through the jungle. Can I make friends with a gorilla with a silverback so it's big enough to carry me through the jungle? Can I be the sacrifice like the King Kong? Come get me, King Kong. I'd be willing. I got the blonde hair. Come on, Kong. I'm all you're looking for, right?
Gorilla, which mature males can weigh around 460 pounds, making them the largest, formerly the largest primate ever since humans surpassed the 500-pound mark. Gorillas face off with other members of their own species, and the occasional leopard. And yes, leopards prey on young or sick gorillas, but they definitely do not take on a silverback gorilla in a head-on fight due to the huge size and strength gap. Alright, we have our baseline stats. Now, let's move on to the first fallacy, which is gorillas are between 4 to 9 times stronger than the average human. This is a pretty common myth, and I gotta admit, I kinda believed it until I did further research.
I believed it too, babe, don't worry. I believed it too. It's based on chimpanzees, but we'll
research on the subject matter. First, how do we define strength? Is it how much we can bench press, or how much we can squat, or how hard we can kick or hit? I think humans tend to judge strength based on their upper body power. So, let's base the fallacy on that. Many people and websites claim they can lift 4,000 pounds.
I mean, they got massive, powerful arms and shoulders. Let's not even pretend.
But where did they get that information from? There have not been any recorded tests on how much a gorilla can lift, making the judgment pure speculation at best. This claim.
And Baru studied orangutans. Yeah. Jane Goodall studied chimps. Diane Fossey studied gorillas. Gorillas in the Mist was like one of the movies that I rewatched over and over again in my childhood, even though I was probably too, maybe I wasn't too young. I know there's lots. Gorillas in the Mist is almost as sad as like Where the Red Fern Grows for me, but Jane and Diane get a lot of attention, but Root doesn't. And her study of orangutans, and orangutans are in they're in dire straits. So yeah.
Claim falls under the fallacy Hitchens' razor, which shows that the burden of proof regarding the truthfulness of a claim lies with the one who makes the claim. If the burden of proof is not met, then the claim is unfounded, and its opponent needs to not argue further in order to dismiss. This basically means that if your outrageous claim has no—
I like how it looks like he's got the carrot in his mouth like a guy would have a cigar in his mouth. So cute.
Solid evidence, and
they look like little old men. I love it. They look like grumpy men that are just sick of your shit. Gorillas, silverback gorillas always look like they're sick of your shit, right? Unless they're making a goofy face. Like if they're just at rest, they got resting bitch face.
Is just pure speculation, then it can be disregarded. But let's play along with the fallacy that gorillas can lift 4,000 pounds, which is—
And I want to talk about the weight real quick, because this picture here demonstrates that. We talk about how heavy a gorilla is. A lot of it is in this hind gut right here, because they process vegetation, which is, famously low in nutrients, so it has to ferment a lot in their gut. So they carry a lot of weight around in that belly too. So we got to remember that when we're talking about how big a gorilla is. And then the larger gorilla estimates are also from captive specimens who are not, navigating the rainforest, who are not competing every day to survive, who are living in captivity in a limited space and being fed high calorie diets.
2 tons. The anatomy of a gorilla is more centered around the motion of pulling rather than pressing. So, the gorilla would perform rather poorly when bench pressing. I also want you to think about this for a second. Saying a gorilla is able to lift 10 times its body weight is saying that it can lift the weight of a hippo. So, the notion that gorillas can bench press 2 tons is false. And by the way, before I continue—
Yeah, and I looked at this channel, and I thought about maybe showcase— actually, I even have it pulled up here, showcasing one of them, but it's this channel. It's AI voice, though.
Cats are blind. Gorillas are 4 to 9 times stronger than humans. A tiger can kill a healthy adult male Indian rhino, etc.
I don't know if I could stand 15 whole minutes of that. So we went with the one with the dude voice. I like the dude voice. Keep doing what you're doing, guys.
I want to shout out a channel called Wild Viral. He makes amazing videos about animals and wildlife, and has even a similar video regarding the true strength of a gorilla on his channel. The link will be in the description for his page in the gorilla video, so feel free to check it out. Now, let's discuss muscle composition. There are 2 main builds that primates generally fall under, which are explosive power and endurance. The muscle composition of a gorilla has a high number of type 2 fast twitch muscle fibers, which means it's built for explosive movements. Type 2 fibers are correlated with quick, sudden bursts, while type 1 fibers, or commonly known as the slow twitch muscle fibers, are more for long-term and endurant movements. A non-athletic human might have close to a 50-50 balance when concerning slow and fast twitch muscles. Top-end, power-reliant athletes like professional fighters have around 70 to 75% fast twitch muscle fibers in their frequently—
I don't have any muscle fibers at all. Where's my muscle fibers?
exercised limbs. Now, let's compare that to a healthy, mature silverback gorilla. Their fast twitch muscle composition would typically be around 70 to 80% depending on how often the limb is used. This means that
This was from like 4 years ago though, when it was more, when AI voice reading your script was kind of an innovative thing, but since then if I have to, if the information's really good, I will. But generally, I prefer to have someone really talking.
Silverback gorilla casually has the same percentage of fast twitch muscle fibers as a professional power-reliant athlete. The main difference is that the gorilla is around 400 pounds and has a different physique than a human. So, you may be wondering, would a 400-pound powerlifter have the same explosive strength as a gorilla? Well,
no.
Not exactly. On paper, it looks that way, but in reality, the shape and size of the muscle plays a big role in strength. Due to the gorilla's physique and way of life,
Look how compact that ape is.
it has longer and more muscle-dense arms than a human, which would mean that in theory, if everything was set equal, the gorilla would still have a more powerful upper
This is not an AI voice. The other one was.
body, but not by a considerable amount. Although I can't
don't
give an
think,
exact
anyway.
number on how much a gorilla can theoretically lift, it likely would be a little more than that of the strongest humans alive on Earth, like Brian Shaw. However, this is assuming that a gorilla would have complete control over their muscles, which they don't. When gorillas do tasks like striking or pulling, they tend to do it using all their arm muscles rather than a select individual group.
Yeah, they're not doing precision strikes. They're doing roundhouse wailing on you.
For example, humans can do certain workouts targeting an individual muscle like biceps and triceps. The gorilla would not be able to do the same workout like a bicep curl because it lacks the control over isolated muscles. So, basically, a gorilla would be a poor martial artist and a poor thrower. However, that does not mean you should challenge a gorilla to a fight because you most certainly would get destroyed. Once again, let's use a 400-pound powerlifter as an example. If we measured the striking force of a 400-pound powerlifter to a 400-pound gorilla, the silverback would produce a stronger strike. But enough about humans. How does a gorilla fare in terms of strength against other animals? Well, once again, it's quite hard to calculate since there are a lot of factors to
This reminds me of how people think if ants were human sized, they could lift cars or whatever. Yeah, when arthropods that would be human sized are going to still be subject to the effect of gravity, right? And a human size, an ant the size of a human is going to be. I mean, are we talking about size as in mass or as in volume? Because a human or an ant that weighs the same as a human would be substantially larger visually than a human. An ant that weighs as much as a human would look the size of a cow, because the material their bodies are made out of, the chitin and stuff. But bear in mind that it also wouldn't be able to support its weight with that chitin exoskeleton. It wouldn't be able to stand up like an ant. It would sit really low to the ground. That's why the biggest arthropods in the fossil record are like millipedes that just sit inches above the ground because gravity is a bitch.
To consider, but doing some research, which I will provide links to in the description, a healthy silverback gorilla would be around the same strength as a lion. Now, I got a lot of comments on videos saying that a gorilla would one-hit a lion, tiger, or bear, but that is not the case at all. I hate to burst your bubble, but a gorilla is not Saitama from One Punch Man. If you think about it, a male gorilla actively fights for dominance, and in doing so, they hit each other a lot. If a gorilla could once strike its way to victory, there would be no fighting amongst each other, and would cause the gorilla to adapt a speed build, so it can strike first. And, like I stated previously, gorillas do not hold back when they fight, and use all their arm muscles when they strike, since they do not have good control over individual muscles. This means that when using all its strength, a silverback gorilla has to fight a gruesome battle against other mature males of similar size. So, the notion that a gorilla can ragdoll and dominate an animal around the same size as it, let alone much bigger creatures like a Nile crocodile.
I love how he always keeps showing, like, picking up a hippo, an elephant, crocodiles, and bears, lions.
Crocodile or a grizzly bear is false.
Yeah, so with all that said, right? With all that said, that's the one I was just talking about. A gorilla is a strong animal. A gorilla is a powerful animal, right? But 100 men would easily subdue and overpower a gorilla, like easily. Not saying some people wouldn't get bit or knocked around. Maybe somebody might even get killed in the process, right? But humans I would say as few as 8 men could probably subdue a gorilla by using the proper group tactics, of course. And in this conflict, they never clarify, but like, what are the men wearing? Are these naked men? Are they? Now, I've heard, this presented as they are top athletes. Okay, great, top athletes, and we'll put them in, I don't know, Speedos or something to help with their dangly bits not getting ripped off, I guess. But a gorilla, if gorillas are regularly, I shouldn't say regularly, but they are killed by chimpanzees. Like, chimpanzees over gorillas in combat. Because chimpanzees are just so much meaner. Even with a weight advantage, right? And we are pack hunters. We know how to coordinate to take down another animal. Gorillas are not pack hunters. They are browsers, right? They don't hunt. They don't understand how to counter a coordinated attack by multiple assailants. Their fights are one-on-one. That gorilla, like I said, someone could suffer. There could be casualties suffered. That gorilla is going to focus on one target, though. It's going to attack one person and focus its attack on that, which is going to give everybody else chances to get around and grapple it. And we're grapplers too. Gorillas are grapplers, but humans are grapplers too, and we're pretty good at it. We're pretty strong grapplers. We can grapple with other animals that are close to our weight. We've been doing it for thousands of years. So yeah, when it comes to the 100 men versus gorillas, as much as I hate to side with humans on this one, humans got that in the bag easily. Like I said, I think as few as 8 men could handle a gorilla with 0 casualties. I would even favor, I don't say 100%, but I'd even favor 5 men over one gorilla if I was like putting money down on like at a boxing match or whatever in a arena fight. I would say the men would probably come out on top with 5, but I'm not as confident about that as I am with 8 men. But 100 men is overkill. It's a lot less men than that. 100 men is not even a reasonable amount to be able to lay hands on the gorilla, right? You're gonna have 100 men circling around the gorilla, closing it in, and it's not gonna be not gonna be good for the African ape. I guess we're African apes too. Should clarify. All right. Well, I am looking at the time, and Joe is about to go live, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you for sticking around for Bree's Bestiary. Hope you enjoyed this little coverage that we had here. Please remember to be kind. Take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, live from the Hive crew. We are going to be kicking us over to the Kentucky Atheist here in a minute, but appreciate everybody for sticking around. We did Spring Heel Jack today. We did Dinosaurs Are Fake and Gay. Remember when asteroids were fake and gay a couple months back? I didn't use that in my title, though, because it ended up making it so it didn't hit the algorithm. And then we talked about the 100 man versus gorilla. So hopefully that was a fun one. You can, if you stick around, it'll redirect you automatically, or you can go ahead and pop over there on your own. Either way, we're going to go over to Joe's. So please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.